So, what did I mean when I talked earlier about the willful surrender of your free will? I recorded a segment a few days earlier about free will. When we reached nirvana, our understanding is that we don't really have a free will. Our free will is ultimately the will of God, and we're merely vessels that carries out His will. And therefore, upon reaching this understanding, when we're no longer capable of making wrong choices, we are living the life, the will of God. And, in a way, it means that even though we have our free will, we don't really have our free will. Because think about it, if you always do the right thing, then do you really have, a free will? It goes into the complicated understanding of what free will is, and I'm not going to elaborate more on this topic. But for those who could break the reincarnation cycle, and that's what we all ultimately strive to be. We want to be godly beings. We want to be able to achieve the level in which we have rid ourselves of our sins. Then at that stage, we no longer need to be reborn onto this world. Now, there are questions of why bad things happen to good people. Well, then if you think about it, what is bad and what is good is really arbitrary to our perspective. I lost my wallet. It could be a bad thing, but if that prevents me from buying, some cocaine, then losing my wallet could be a good thing. So if you look at it from the macro perspective of your spiritual journey, then the picture looks very different. Bad thing happen and good thing happen in a way, or to help you advance along your spiritual journey. It's really what you do that makes it, bad or good. As I mentioned earlier, people who are born into harsh environment tend to progress on their spiritual journey more rapidly. So when you're born into a life of difficulty, it's not necessarily a bad thing. If you look at it from the perspective of allowing you to become a more complete human being, then perhaps those bad things, as cruel as they might seem at the moment, it might not be totally a bad thing. And also, a lot of times bad things happen simply because of, circumstance. Maybe there isn't a good, a reason attached to it. Maybe it happened because it did. You smoke cigarette every day, you get cancer. Why did you get cancer? Because you smoke cigarette. If you look at from even a higher perspective, then I guess you smoke cigarette because, circumstance arise that you smoke cigarette. But so, I say this in a way because I want to give a different perspective of why things happen. And this is a huge topic. I don't think I can finish talking about these things in 2 days. And I have to pack everything in a 15-minute segment. So I'm definitely not mentioning many factors. If you actually want to learn more about this, there are websites which I'll tell you later that you can read on. Now, finally, I want to talk about relationships with people. So when you're born, you actually choose your own birth. You choose your parents, whether it's because you love them and you have a previous connection to them, or you want to settle scores with them. But you get to choose the life that you're living right now. However, being born into that life is different compared to what you do with your life. You have free will, and you decide what to do with the set of circumstances in which you inherit. And the best thing you can do is to listen to your conscience. You have a conscience. Everyone has a conscience that whispers to them, what is the right thing to do and what is the wrong thing to do. And unfortunately, many people in our society, in the world, ignore their conscience. And the peril of ignoring your conscience is that the more you ignore your conscience, the less you're capable of hearing that whisper in which your conscience is telling you this is the right thing to do. For people who are very used to ignoring their conscience will stop talking to them altogether. And in a way, they wasted their lifetime because they're likely not to have acted in the right way. And I guess sometimes, people in different religion, they call these people evil people. I don't really believe in, good or evil inherently, but these are probably people that you don't want to invite, to a dinner party. So when we're born, there are people that we have a previous connection with, hopefully a positive connection with, that you choose to be born again and again and again. And most likely, your parents, your sibling, your spouse are people whom you have interacted in a previous lifetime. Your parents might be your parents in the previous lifetime, or your spouse, or your children. And you guys had a good relationship working together in that lifetime, and you choose to be born again into this lifetime, hopefully to help each other advance in your journey, in your spiritual journey. I heard that for a child, I heard that you choose your own name rather than your parents giving you the name. Well, they do give you the name, but when you decide to be born into your mom's womb, you whisper your name to your parents or whoever decide to give you the name, and you choose your own name as what it is. So, in a way, why do I say this? What can you do knowing this knowledge? Well, I guess the two suggestions I would give you is that, one, be kind to your fellow human being, because kindness is its own reward, rather than seeing it as being nice to other people. When you're not being nice to other people, cruelty degrades you more than the cruelty inflicted on the person whom you target. So see kindness and see good acts as something that's inherent. See it more from the perspective of the person who give the act of kindness, rather than seeing it from the perspective of those who receive it. And the second thing I would recommend is to build meaningful relationships with people. When you die, you can't really carry anything with you. Even if you're a wealthy person, none of the riches, the land, the title, the vanity, you're not going to take any of this with you to the next lifetime. Whereas what you do take to your next lifetime is the meaningful relationship you build with other human beings. It really amazes me sometimes that a lot of people in our society don't really have friends. It's just it's very amazing. And for you who are listening to this recording, if there is something meaningful you want to do in your life, cultivate a relationship that you have right now and make them meaningful. And when I say make them meaningful, I hope you can do it more than just a superficial level of, treat your friends to a beer, but have some spiritual connection with that person, because it is these connections that will be carried over to the next lifetime.